The large corporation where I work is beyond your capabilities. David Jones denigrated me at our middle school reunion, which included 50 of my classmates. Even though I am now over 50, David still treats me like a rival. I feel sorry for David after hearing his foolish remarks. I believe it's time to dispel his misunderstandings. So, which branch are you at? After realizing who I am, David, who had denigrated me so haughtily, begins to shake. Michael Miller is my name. I am a professional who is 52 years old. I have enjoyed reading since I was a young child, especially biographies of famous people. My goal was to make a difference in society. Before I knew it, I began to act without being asked. By middle school, I was frequently trusted as a representative, as evidenced by my nomination as class president or my appointment as club captain. But I always took care to avoid being egotistical or controlling other people. I steered things in a pleasing direction and led conversations with those around me, following the model of previous great personalities. This strategy was well welcomed, and I had a happy time in middle school. I've had a happy life throughout high school, college, and my career. But now that I think about it, middle school was the most rewarding and pleasurable time of my life. Just last month, my middle school classmates were brought together by the reunion postcard. Many people have left our hometown at this age. I can't even recall when I last saw my friends from middle school. I indicated my attendance right away and mailed the reply card because I was so excited about seeing my former classmates. I was excited and uneasy as I made my way to the location on the day of the reunion. There were already several individuals at the door to the upscale hotel where the reunion was held. "Is that Michael, Hugh? It's been a while." As soon as I got there, my classmates welcomed me. Most were there already, but I felt like I was early. Like me, everyone must have been anticipating today. We are all in our 50s today, unlike when we were teenagers in middle school. Everyone had grown older, yet their youthful features persisted, which made me smile naturally. I was discussing our recent life with a classmate who was nearby when we were abruptly stopped by a loud, annoying laugh. As I turned around, I noticed a man wearing flashy clothing. Wearing a suit of high-end cloth, he flashed a gleaming watch from his sleeve. His arms were crossed as he stood looking around the room smugly. I didn't identify him at first, but his haughty manner quickly made him obvious. David Jones, a classmate who had always annoyed me, arrived late. Perhaps because he was just as intelligent as I was, David seemed to have detested me. However, in contrast to me, who was fortunate to have friends, David had a harsh disposition and attacked anyone he didn't like. The upshot was that our peers avoided him. Although we were enjoying our talk, David's presence caused us to look at each other uneasily. To avoid him, some students even got up from their seats. However, David saw me and smirked as he approached. "It's been a while, Michael. You look a little shabby," David remarked. "At first, David, I didn't recognize you. You have on a dapper suit. It fits you perfectly." He must have been pleased by my sincere compliment. David crossed his arms once more and examined my attire, looking me up and down. "Since middle school, you haven't changed all that much." David continued to stare down on me and criticize me further, saying, "You're old enough to pay more attention to your appearance. It's likely that you don't have the money for excellent clothes. Your income and employment must be negligible. Additionally, you may be dining at a hotel for the first time tonight. Be careful to consume enough food." He appeared to be oblivious to the annoyed glances from those in our vicinity. I could only smile uncomfortably because I didn't want to quarrel, and David continued to spew insults without considering the reactions. David eventually became interested in our careers. "What do you guys do for a living, by the way? You must not have essential occupations based on your shoddy attire." David began speculating about each classmate without waiting for responses. "You must work at an auto repair business because you were always reading automotive magazines in middle school. And you You and your family own a farm. You are most likely working on the family farm because you were never able to find employment. David persisted in making prejudicial assumptions while pointing at classmates. As was to be expected, an uneasy mood descended around the group, and David received no response. David merely laughed out, whether he was unaware of the critical tone or was just dismissing it. Most of you probably spend your time growing vegetables or taking care of animals, always busy with work. I'm different from you all. I'm smart and intellectual, so I work for a solid company. Despite no one asking, David proudly pulled out his business card and thrust it into my hand, showing off the name Capital Corporation, a major local company with the title of manager. This company develops, manufactures, and sells precision equipment for industries and research institutions. Seeing the unexpected company name, I couldn't help but gape. David, seeing my surprise, smirked even more. Placing his hands on my shoulders, he began to speak, barely able to contain his joy. Surprised? Well, this is reality. I studied hard, graduated from Harvard, and became a manager at Capital Corporation. Where did you end up? How much did you study after middle school? No matter what university you graduate from or what job you have, people are not superior or inferior. Different jobs support each other, and that's how society functions. My tone became harsher. It wasn't just because David insulted me, but because I couldn't stand his attitude of looking down on our classmates in professions like farming and livestock raising. David seemed surprised by my harsh response. He stared at me blankly for a moment. Then his expression twisted. If you're so defensive, Michael, you must be doing manual labor. You were always pampered, but it looks like you didn't put in the effort after middle school. He turned away as if he'd seen something disgusting, shaking his head exaggeratedly. Talking to someone on a different intellectual level is exhausting. I usually talk with my fellow Harvard grads, so the conversation is completely different. See, you enjoy mingling with the lowlives. After saying that, David moved over to the table where the women were talking. It's a shame he ruined the atmosphere when we had all gathered to enjoy ourselves. I apologized to my classmates, but their criticism was all directed at David. He was annoying back then, but he's even worse as an adult. Indeed, David had always been boastful and oblivious to others' feelings since middle school. Back then, we thought it was just childishness or pride, but it seems it was part of his nature. If he hasn't changed by this age, he probably won't ever change. Watching David forced his way into the women's group, I sighed deeply. After David left, I decided to enjoy the conversations with my classmates. As more classmates arrived, almost all 50 of us were there, and the reunion officially began. As the class president back then, I led the toast, and we started our meal. At first, conversations were a bit awkward due to the long years apart, but once the beer started flowing, everyone became more relaxed and cheerful. During middle school, we were in the throes of adolescence, and talking to girls one-on-one was impossible. But as adults, everyone interacted maturely without any awkwardness. I enjoyed talking to several classmates about our thoughts back then and memorable episodes. We revealed the thoughts we had kept hidden, such as what we were really thinking back then or how we wished we had talked more. There was an indescribable joy in sharing these feelings after 37 years. Suddenly, the entrance of the venue became lively. Turning around, I saw the last person arriving, with several classmates eagerly approaching. Linda M., right? How nostalgic. Linda, who was kind and cheerful to everyone since middle school, was the class's sweetheart and very popular with her gentle personality and pure beauty. Linda was admired by everyone, adored by both boys and girls, and now her admirers were a mix of men and women. After a while, Linda came over to the table where I was sitting. Thanks for organizing today. No problem. It's great to see everyone again. Linda's elegant outfit enhanced her natural charm. Despite being in her 50s, she looked youthful and had a serene presence that made her even more captivating. Like everyone else, I had admired her during our middle school days. In fact, she was my first love, so seeing her at the reunion made my heart flutter. I was held up at work today and arrived a bit late. I see. Well, we just started, so enjoy yourself until the end. As we exchanged small talk, I couldn't help but notice her beautiful hands. There was no ring on her left ring finger. Feeling my heart race at this unexpected discovery, I momentarily hesitated, wondering how to bring it up. Noticing my gaze, Linda's eyes widened in realization. Oh, this. At that moment, a familiar voice interrupted from behind. There you are, Linda. Talking to Michael is just a waste of time. Grinning, David wedged himself between us. Linda looked puzzled, but David continued talking to her without missing a beat. It's boring to stay with Michael. Haven't you talked to enough? Let's go over there and chat with me. I sighed involuntarily, annoyed by his return. David twisted his body to block Linda's view, scowling at me as if to say, "Get lost." Talking with Linda is enjoyable, but we had spent a lot of time together at the reunion already. She probably wanted to chat with other classmates too. Thinking this, I glanced at Linda. She looked troubled, glancing between David and the other classmates at the table he had joined. As I considered what to do, David nudged me with his elbow. You should eat as much as you can now. You probably live a poor life and only eat bad food. After saying this, David had a staff member bring a chair and forced himself between Linda and me. I became a manager years ago. Talented people like me quickly climb the ranks. People working in farming or construction are on a different intellectual level. David was eager to boast about his abilities. However, Linda only nodded occasionally to keep the atmosphere light, showing little interest. Yet David, thinking she was listening intently, continued bragging nonstop. His childish communication, focused solely on self-praise, made me wonder when to step in and help Linda. Noticing the awkward atmosphere at our table, other classmates began gathering around. But David, without looking back, kept talking to Linda. By the way, I haven't told you the name of the company I work for. It's a well-known corporation, so I'm sure you've heard of it. David paused and then cleared his throat dramatically. He glanced at me with a smug look before confidently announcing the name of his company. I work for Capital Corporation, which has branches nationwide. After middle school, I went to a prestigious high school, graduated from Harvard, and became a manager at a major corporation. Some classmates who were listening from a distance let out surprise exclamations. This pleased David, and he began boasting even more. He talked about his first-class lifestyle and how he deserved his position in a large company, contrasting it with the supposedly fallen lives of his classmates. The atmosphere grew increasingly tense as David exaggerated his accomplishments. Just as his voice grew too loud to ignore, he stopped abruptly. Turning to me, he flashed a provocative smile. How about that? You must be surprised to see how much I've succeeded since we studied together. But a big company like mine is out of your league. Being looked down on in front of 50 classmates, I felt a strange nostalgia instead of anger. In middle school, David always competed with me in everything, from math quizzes to 100-meter dashes in gym class. But I never cared about winning or losing and saw school grades as a way to gauge my own learning. So, I never responded to his provocations. My classmates always got angry on my behalf, and now, as if echoing the past, they looked at David with anger and frustration. There he goes again, bragging, Michael muttered. David didn't do anything yet, and he's still so annoying. Some classmates openly spoke up against David, while others whispered among themselves. Why is he monopolizing Linda? Hearing all the complaints, David seemed to get genuinely angry. Of course, he directed that anger at me, which was typical of him. A person's worth is determined by the salary their company pays them. It doesn't matter how popular you were in middle school. Adulthood is different. Listening to David's misguided comments made me feel embarrassed for him. It seemed like it was time to clear up the misunderstanding. I motioned for David to stop and, suppressing my laughter, spoke up. "So, which branch are you at?" David was caught off guard, his mouth open in bewilderment as he stared blankly at me. Our classmates, who had been chatting with me before David's arrival, seemed to understand the situation and started chuckling. But David, clueless about why everyone was reacting this way, stood there stunned for a moment. Then suddenly, his face turned red with anger. "The branch doesn't matter. What's important is the company you work for. The major corporation I work for is one you could never step foot in." David's declaration was met with uproarious laughter. His clueless state finally broke our classmates' restraint. "What's so funny? Are you jealous of my job, or are you saying headquarters is prestigious but branches aren't? Let's stop this now." While everyone else was laughing, only Linda tried to calm things down. She didn't want things to escalate further, but David misunderstood her again. "Linda, you're the only one who understands me. Thanks for defending me. It's ridiculous how they laugh out of jealousy for my abilities." David looked at Linda with pleading eyes, but she wasn't talking to him. Linda was addressing me. "Hey, it's time to tell him the truth." "You're right, Linda." David's eyes darted between us, clearly confused. Seeing his bewilderment, I began to explain gently. "It's not that headquarters is more prestigious. I always appreciate the hard work of branch employees. As I said earlier, jobs support each other. Who do you think you are, acting all high and mighty? Do you think you're the company president or something? Don't talk down to me." David spat out his retort, making the surrounding laughter even louder. "I appreciate the hard work of our branch employees, but if someone with your values is a manager, I need to inform the branch." "What? What do you mean, inform the branch? What are you talking about?" Even after all this, David still couldn't grasp reality. Seeing his red-faced defiance, I was genuinely exasperated. Having someone like you with such values can tarnish the image of the entire branch and ultimately the whole company. Your behavior could cause the company losses. Tarnish the image. Don't be ridiculous. How can someone like you criticize my company? David glared at me, determined not to back down. Our classmates watched, some egging him on. "Go on, David. Keep at it." But seeing Linda looking at David with pity made me feel a bit sorry for him, too. I never expected the reunion to get this lively, but it was time to reveal the truth. "Listen, I'm the president of your company." "What? Are you out of your mind? It's a huge company with branches all over the country. If you're dreaming, save it for bedtime." I explained as clearly as possible, but David still couldn't understand. Realizing that no amount of explanation would help, I was about to give up when Linda spoke to David. She pulled up something on her phone and showed it to him. "Look at the company's website. You should know the face and name of the CEO if you're so proud of the company." Displayed clearly on her phone was my picture and the name, Michael Miller. David finally understood I was telling the truth. His face turned pale, and he began to tremble. No way. I really didn't know. Remembering the terrible things he had said to me, he suddenly began to fawn and speak in a sycophantic tone. "Maybe I went a bit overboard, but you'll forgive me, right? We were always good friends. It's not about forgiving. It's about the attitude of looking down on others. The fact that you changed your attitude, now that you know I'm the CEO, is exactly the problem." Despite my explanation, David kept grinning and offering insincere apologies. It was clear he still didn't understand, and I sighed deeply. "Anyway, I'll make sure the branch knows what I saw and heard today. If you're always working seriously, there shouldn't be any issues. I mean, I always work seriously. You don't need to worry about me, sir." David suddenly straightened up and started speaking to me in a respectful tone. His blatant change in demeanor showed he truly didn't understand anything, leaving me exasperated. I had been explaining that it's wrong to look down on people based on their job or to use respectful language only because someone is the CEO. Seeing that he still didn't get it, I had no more words for him. Wanting to avoid further awkwardness for everyone else, I decided to leave. Linda tried to follow me, but David suddenly shouted again. "Are you bragging about being a CEO to take Linda away?" Confused by his accusation, I stopped in my tracks. David then turned to Linda. "Linda, it's not right to gravitate towards Michael just because he's a CEO. It's about the person, not their status or money." The same David who had been bragging about his managerial position and salary was now spouting the opposite opinion. Everyone around us was bewildered by his sudden shift. Linda, however, answered seriously. "I wasn't talking to him because he's a CEO. It's a reunion, and I want to talk with my classmates." Our classmates agreed with Linda. Ignoring the supportive voices, David shook his head violently and glared at Linda with an intense expression. David noticed her unadorned left ring finger and grinned. "Then you'll talk to me too, right, Linda? You're not married now, are you? If status and income don't matter, why not go out with me?" Apparently, David was also single, but his approach to Linda was inappropriate. I was about to step in when Linda surprised me by firmly rejecting him. "There's no way I choose to date you, David. I could never be happy with someone who judges people by their job or income." Her clear refusal nearly made me laugh out loud. Even so, David persisted. "If you don't judge people by their job or income, then you should be okay with me. But if you choose Michael, doesn't that mean you care about his status and wealth?" "I have a very clear reason," Linda said. "I don't know what you're thinking, but Michael Miller is my husband." Upon hearing this, David's mouth dropped open, and he stood frozen. "But you're not wearing a wedding ring." "I've been helping my husband with his work since we were young. I often go to the factory floor, so I keep my ring at home." Linda looked at me, and I nodded in agreement. "Honestly, I thought you'd wear it today, so I was surprised too. Our ring is precious, so I keep it safely at home." Linda blushed as she answered, looking as adorable as ever. No matter how old we got, we exchanged SMS, but David, still unsatisfied, spoke up again. "You're lying. You're both just messing with me. If you're really married, why do you call her Miss Linda so formally? Using first names doesn't always mean a close relationship. Linda will always be important to me, so I call her Miss out of respect." To prove my point, Linda happily took my hand. Seeing this, David groaned in frustration. "But I wouldn't let you struggle if you were with me." "But David, you said you bought everything. Your clothes and your car, on credit, didn't you? And not just any credit, but with revolving payments. I don't think I could be happy with someone who uses revolving credit for big purchases." Linda said this firmly, but apologetically. "What's wrong with revolving credit? As long as I repay it, there's no problem. In fact, it's better because the monthly payments don't change no matter how much I buy." "No, David, the fixed monthly payments mean that the total debt never decreases, and you're just paying interest forever." It seemed David focused on the immediate monthly payments without realizing how much he would end up repaying in total. Revolving credit often leads to extended payment periods and higher interest rates. David seemed to be paying a fixed amount each month without knowing the total fees or when he would be debt-free. "David, we have different views on money. Please find someone who shares your values." Rejected by Linda, David looked dejected. Feeling a bit sorry for him, I spoke up. "Besides, Linda is happy with me. Look for someone who doesn't have a partner. You'll find someone great." I meant to encourage him, but David didn't take it that way. He glared at me, tears welling up in his eyes. Finally, he shouted, "You stole not just my job, but also my Madonna. Get lost," and then ran away. With David gone, our classmates, and I resumed our reunion in peace and enjoyed the rest of the night. A few days after the reunion, I decided to call the branch where David worked using the business card he gave me. As expected, I discovered that David was treating his subordinates harshly. I immediately contacted HR to investigate the work environment in David's department. The investigation revealed that David was not only creating a toxic workplace, but was also acting aggressively toward clients. While he provided impeccable service to major corporate clients, David was reportedly rude to smaller or first-time clients. The more I investigated, the more bad reports I found. With a heavy heart, I instructed that David be transferred to another department, hoping he would remember the importance of sincere service. However, the result was disappointing. Unable to forget his past glory as a manager, David clashed with his younger superiors and continued his rude behavior toward clients, leading to his isolation at work. A few months later, he resigned. After quitting, he fell behind on his loan payments, and a few months later, his house and car were repossessed. David disappeared, and no one knows where he is now. As for me, my life remained busy with both work and family. The reunion rekindled connections with my hometown friends. We are now planning another big reunion for when we turn 60. This time, I plan to attend with my beloved wife, Linda. Until the day we can all meet again in good health, I continue to work hard every day.
What took place? Although my daughter Isabella recently began working at her ideal firm, she hasn't been acting like herself lately. Every time I inquire, she simply responds, "It's nothing." However, she returned home only half an hour after leaving today, and there was a ridiculous letter on her back. I made the decision to visit her as soon as I saw it. Normally, I'm cool and collected, but this time, I couldn't help myself. As a result, I was up against Samuel, the exact person who had hurt Isabella so much. Thomas is my name. Isabella joined me in celebrating my recent 51st birthday. Isabella was born the year after my wife and I were married 30 years ago. Unfortunately, my wife died shortly after giving birth. I couldn't raise a child by myself at the time because I was just 22 and just began my profession. In order to balance work and parenthood, I raised Isabella with assistance from my parents and in-laws. As she grew older, things became easier, but there were challenges associated with not having a mother. This April, however, Isabella began her adult life. Even though she is only 22, she appears to be very mature for her age. To compensate for her mother's absence, she must have put forth extra effort. Part of me wishes she could have just enjoyed being a child, but I'm proud of her. But right now, I'm not sure what I can do to help her. I have simply been following the current. Nevertheless, I'm happy living with Isabella. My favorite thing to do is have meals with her. There's only one thing that keeps coming to mind. She has frequently appeared depressed ever since she began working. Has something occurred? No, I'm all right. Simply exhausted. I understand. Then take a nap. Her responses are evasive even when I inquire. Since I had nothing else to do, I let her sleep. Her look kept growing deeper, and I thought that with time, she would feel better. On her days off, she used to play tennis, but these days she just stays home. In the afternoon, she rises, has lunch, and immediately returns to her room. It was obvious that something was off, but I couldn't make her talk if she didn't want to. So, with a heavy heart, I continued to live my life as usual. Isabella abruptly declared one day that she wanted to change occupations. I believe I want to switch careers. This one doesn't seem like it would work for me. Has that been causing you any trouble lately? Yes, it's not the business I had anticipated. So, I've been considering giving up. She must have been under a lot of stress because she hadn't even been there for a year. However, leaving college so soon could have an impact on her future career. Are you certain that someone else would hire you even if you leave right now? You know that, don't you? Yes, I do. However, still, after hearing what I had to say, Isabella was speechless. You should do whatever you think is best, in my opinion. It's your life. Make sure you won't regret it, though. You're right. I'll think about it some more. Thanks, Dad. Later, I kept wondering if I said the right thing. But no matter how much I thought about it, there was no clear answer. It was up to Isabella now. 2 weeks later, Isabella still looked down as she left for work. I was getting ready to leave myself when she came home just 30 minutes after leaving. Something had definitely happened. I asked, "What happened?" She replied like always, "It's nothing." The words she gave in return were the same as always, But today, Isabella seemed different. Even when I asked her what was wrong, she said nothing, keeping her lips tightly pressed together, refusing to speak. I decided to take the day off. Are you feeling sick? Then go rest in your room. Yeah, I'm sorry, Dad. At first, I didn't understand what she meant, but when I saw her heading to her room, I couldn't believe my eyes. There was a piece of paper about the size of printer paper taped to her back. I quickly pulled it off and read it. The message was so cruel. I couldn't believe it. You are not needed in this company. Just get out already. What's this? It was so shocking. I read it out loud. Ah, give that back. Isabella, what's going on? Who did this? Well, it was my boss. When I asked more, I learned she'd been harassed for some time. The culprit was her direct supervisor, Samuel, who is 40 years old. He's the department manager. Right after she joined, he forced extra work on her and didn't let her do the same tasks as others. When she protested, the harassment escalated. They didn't call me to meetings, and I wasn't given important documents. Why would they do that? And why didn't you tell me sooner? I didn't want to worry you. I'm sorry. That was the first time Isabella cried in front of me. She'd never shown tears since she was little, but I knew she must have wanted to cry all along. I held her tightly as she cried. I'm sorry I didn't notice. I'll take care of it now. You just rest. What do you mean? What are you going to do? I'm going to your company. Normally, I don't get angry or show frustration, but this time I was furious. Seeing my precious daughter hurt for such an unreasonable reason, I couldn't help but feel a deep sense of frustration toward that man, Samuel. But what are you going to do there? Don't worry. Just leave it to me. With Isabella looking on in concern, I headed to her company. At reception, I asked to speak with Samuel, but of course, I was denied. My daughter works here. She suddenly said she's taking leave and I must speak to her supervisor. I see. Normally, that's not allowed. But please wait a moment. Maybe because I pleaded sincerely, the receptionist went to call Samuel from the office. Sometime later, a small man wearing glasses showed up. What do you want? I'm busy, so make it quick. Samuel looked at me with a sluggish expression, his hands shoved in his pockets. I'm Isabella's father. I'd like to ask you a few things about what's been going on. Seriously? She sent her father? What kind of nerve does that take? That's unbelievable. As soon as I introduced myself as Isabella's father, Samuel burst out laughing. There was a really cruel note stuck to Isabella's back. Was that your doing? Yeah, that was me. I can't stand her. I wish she just quit already. Did she do something to deserve that kind of treatment? From what I've heard from Isabella, there's no reason she would be targeted like that. But then Samuel said something outrageous. She's taller than me. Okay, and she gets attention like she's some kind of model. It ticks me off. That's it. That's your reason. That's it. That's enough. It hits a nerve and I hate it. I was stunned. He'd been harassing her just because she was taller and got attention from others? It's true. Isabella is about 5 feet 7 inches and has a good figure. But that's no excuse for harassment. And if that were the reason, others would fit too. Why only target Isabella? Because she looked weak. Watching her crumble was hilarious. Hearing that, I couldn't help but mutter, I see. Then I have an idea, too. You'd better be ready. Huh? What did you say? You and your daughter talk too quietly. Say it louder. I said, be ready. You have no idea who you just picked a fight with. Samuel tilted his head in confusion. What's this? Trying to scare me now? Scare you? You bluffing? You mean you're the threat or your daughter? As Samuel taunted me with a smug expression, I glanced at him sideways and pulled out my phone. What? Calling for help? Don't say I didn't warn you when you regret it later. Regret? You think I'd ever feel that? You know who I am. After hearing those words from Samuel, I made a call to someone. The moment they answered, I switched to speaker mode. Hello? How have you been? This is Thomas. Thomas? What a surprise. What can I do for you? I'm actually at your company right now. Something's come up. When Samuel realized I was talking to Mr. Kensington, the company president, his eyes widened. He hadn't expected me to be connected to someone like him. A problem? What happened? Did one of our employees? Yes. I'd like to talk about someone named Samuel from my daughter's department. Samuel, I see. I'll head over immediately. Please wait just a moment. With that, Mr. Kensington hung up. Was that just now? You know him well, right? That was Mr. Kensington, the president of this company. We go way back. How? You're not supposed to have any connection to him. Still in disbelief, Samuel stared at me. Soon after, Mr. Kensington came running in, drenched in sweat. Sorry to keep you waiting. Did Samuel do something? You might want to hear it directly from him. Yes, of course. Samuel, would you mind explaining what happened? Mr. Kensington asked, but Samuel refused to speak. Instead, he tried to make me look like the villain. I didn't do anything. I don't even know who this guy is. He just barged in and accused me. Accused you of what? He said I harassed his daughter out of nowhere. Hearing that, Mr. Kensington glanced at me. Is that true? Everything except the part about me barging in is true. I see. I can't say for sure myself. May I speak with Isabella? It was clear Mr. Kensington wasn't sure who to believe yet, and that made sense. He needed to hear from both sides to judge fairly. But Isabella likely didn't have the strength to show up right now. Isabella's mentally and physically exhausted. I don't think she can take part in a meeting. Oh, come on. She's just running away, isn't she? Admit it's all a lie. Hey, watch your tone. Feeling safe now that Isabella wouldn't come, Samuel acted cocky even in front of Mr. Kensington. It's fine. Let him say whatever he wants. Okay then. You've been acting all high and mighty. Who do you think you are? Some big shot. Samuel still didn't know who I really was and kept running his mouth. I wondered if he realized he couldn't back out anymore. Mr. Kensington looked worried that things might escalate. You're around 40, right? So what? Don't tell me I have to show respect just because you're older. No, not that. I just find it sad that someone that age still acts so foolish. At my words, Samuel furrowed his brow. It seemed what I had just said had struck a deep chord with him. Keep running your mouth and see what happens. Now he was visibly angry. I think you're the one who should be worried about what's coming next. What are you talking about? You probably don't know this, but I'm a major shareholder here. Time seemed to stop around Samuel. The major shareholder? Yes. I own a large portion of this company's stock and attend shareholder meetings. That can't be. I've worked the front desk at those meetings, but I've never seen your face. Apparently, Samuel had once handled reception for a shareholder meeting, but it's no surprise he wouldn't remember faces. I hadn't remembered his either. It's not strange that you don't remember, but the fact remains that I'm a major shareholder. No way. That can't be true. It's true. This man is one of our biggest investors and has done a lot for this company. Mr. Kensington's words sealed it. Samuel had no choice but to accept the truth. So what if you're a major shareholder? That has nothing to do with your daughter. I didn't do anything wrong. If you're so confident, then I'd like to request a review of the security footage and ask other employees for statements. Why should I have to go through that? Despite claiming innocence, as soon as I mentioned an investigation, sweat started pouring from Samuel's forehead. You don't want to stay under suspicion, right? Then prove your innocence. I don't think Thomas would lie, but we'll need to confirm the facts for the sake of fairness. Wait, it was me. I think I may have harassed her. At last, Samuel finally admitted to what he had done. However, I just couldn't accept such a vague and unclear explanation. What exactly do you mean by I think? I didn't think it was harassment. I assumed it was just a misunderstanding. Oh, and you think putting something like this on someone's back can be dismissed as a mere misunderstanding? As I said that, I pulled out the paper that had been stuck on Isabella's back. What is this? This is terrible. Did you really do this? No, you've got it all wrong. Very well. A proper investigation will reveal the truth, Thomas. We'll look into this thoroughly and get back to you right away. Understood. I hope you'll handle this matter with sincerity. And with that, I left Isabella's workplace. Just before walking away, I glanced back briefly, and I'll never forget the devastated look on Samuel's face at that moment. Sometime later, I received a direct call from Mr. Kensington about Samuel. It turned out just as he said. We decided to assign him to a different department away from Isabella. I sincerely apologize. I'm glad to hear that. By the way, which department was Samuel transferred to? Apparently, Samuel had been removed from the career track and pushed into a dead-end department. He insisted he wouldn't quit no matter what, but most people in that department end up leaving within 6 months because they can't find any sense of fulfillment. After taking a short break, Isabella eventually returned to work. It's been about a month since then, and I feel like she smiles more often now. But for Samuel, this was only the beginning of his descent into misery. In the new department, Samuel was forced to repeat the same monotonous tasks every day, and it gradually took a toll on both his mind and body. He couldn't accept being removed from the promotion track and repeatedly protested to Mr. Kensington, only to be shut down each time, until eventually, He gave up trying altogether. Then Samuel declared that he was quitting the company. I'm done with this place. It makes no sense for someone as capable as me to be treated like this, he shouted, submitting his resignation letter. After quitting, he visited many companies in search of a new job, but no one would hire him. At home, when his family asked why he had left his job and he told them the truth, his wife took the children and left him. In the end, Samuel couldn't find a new job and has been barely scraping by on his savings, living alone in solitude, or so I heard through the grapevine. But I can say with certainty that Samuel's downfall isn't just a rumor, because recently, I saw him myself. He looked like a completely different person. That day, I had gone to a casual pub with Isabella. Tonight's on me. Order whatever you like. Are you sure? Wasn't this your first bonus? Exactly. I wanted to celebrate it with you, Dad. It was just a simple pub, nothing fancy. But to me, it meant more than any high-end restaurant. Isabella was smiling as she looked through the menu, her eyes darting around, trying to decide what to order. But then, the moment she looked up, her expression froze. What's wrong? That guy over there, isn't that Samuel? Hearing her words, I quickly turned around, and sure enough, there he was, Samuel, arguing with a staff member near the register. I didn't order this much. You're ripping me off. Call the police. He was shouting angrily, clearly upset about the bill. Very well. Are you sure you want to go through with this? Of course. I'm struggling enough as it is, and you're trying to rob me blind. The staff member then pulled out a phone and began calling the police. Before long, a patrol car arrived, and the officers began questioning both of them. You have security cameras here, correct? We'll need to review the footage. Wait, cameras? What cameras? We have them in all four corners, and two more in the center of the room. Samuel, who had looked so confident moments ago, suddenly went pale upon hearing that. No one told me that. Well, then let's continue this conversation at the station. Wait, please. Samuel tried to make excuses, but no one listened. He was taken away in the patrol car. He hasn't changed at all, has he? No. Let's not let someone like him ruin our night. After that, Isabella and I talked about many things. Is there anything you want to do next, Isabella? I guess maybe I'd like to try falling in love. Love, huh? She's already an adult, after all. Some people even get married in their early 20s. The fact that she hasn't had any romantic experiences until now doesn't mean much. It wouldn't be surprising at all if she found someone. I didn't want to make you feel lonely, so I never really brought it up. I get it. I thought I was ready for this, but when the time actually comes, I don't know how to handle it. You're about to cry, aren't you? Stop it. I don't even have anyone yet. I couldn't help it. I cried in front of Isabella for the first time in a long time. Thinking about the person she might bring home someday, I finished the last of my beer. Someone wonderful is going to come into your life, Isabella. Of course. After all, I was raised by you, Dad. Her words made my tears flow even faster.